Hey, good evening, and welcome to this next edition of Betsy Rose Archival Music, pre recorded and sent to you to brighten your day. I'm so glad you're with me. So, tonight I've got three or four songs I think lined up, some of which are from past concert performances, one of which is very current right at the end, and of course, something from my global travels, my 2015-16 Asia, Africa, and parts beyond travels, which I'll say more about in a minute. But I want to start right off with a very topical song that I'd forgotten about from a concert in, I think, 2010 or so. And I learned a lot about songwriting from great parody songwriters who went before me, from Gilbert and Sullivan to Tom Lear. I grew up on Tom Lear, if any of you remember him. But I want to shout out tonight Tom Paxton, great, great songwriter. And he wrote a song in 1988 called I'm Changing My Name to Chrysler. And it was when Reagan was bailing out the big car companies. I can't remember all the details, it's a long time ago. But the idea was that Tom Paxton, was observing these mega corporations getting bailed out by the government while ordinary people were continuing their downward spiral. Does this sound familiar? 1988 and right now. Okay. So he wrote this great song about if I call myself Chrysler and I go down to DC, will you give me a handout too? Well, in 2009 or so, as Obamacare was trying to manifest itself, the big insurance companies went down to DC and lobbied for their right to exist as major profit-making private organizations, companies in the midst of trying to somehow make healthcare available to all. So I got inspired and I wrote a little song called I'm Changing My Name to Cigna, and stole his tune because that's what folk musicians do, is steal from each other. And I say big thank you to Tom Paxton and enjoy the song.
Yeah. Hell hath no fury like a Buddhist feminist. I am changing my name to Cigna. I'm going down to Washington, D.C. I'll make sure that public health plan doesn't mess with my own wealth plan. If there's profit to be made, it goes to me. I am changing my name to Cigna. Big pharma's in my bed now every night. And when $1 billion bonus goes to me and all my cronies, I'll get mine. Well, the price of healthcare's rising every day. People losing jobs are losing more than pay. Once we thought our health was covered, now we wake up to discover they've got loopholes, hidden clauses, and delays. Though your premiums are all paid up to date, that life-saving surgery will have to wait till some guy behind a desk decides it's medically necessary. Let the bottom line decide your fate. I am changing my name to Cigna. I'm going on Fox News to make my case. I'll explain how commie villains are just out to make a killin'. Take away your freedom, lay your health to waste. I am changing my name to Cigna. I can buy most any vote at any price. You can march or sign petitions, but I'm safe in my position, and I'll get mine. You'll be sorry when you see your grandma's fate as a death panel pulls out her plug one day. If you want to live like France and wait forever for a chance to see the doctor that your taxes go to pay, you can rant about your Medicare for all, but the government is listening through your wall. They'll be spying, they'll be prying, and your care they'll be denying what our company would grant without a qualm. I am changing my name to Cigna. It's a business just like Exxon or Big Med. So the bottom line is profit. You can argue, You can scoff it. By the time you win your lawsuit, you'll be dead. I am changing my name to Cigna. The White House calls me on my private line. They can talk about big change, but it's just deck chairs rearranged. And I'll keep mine. I've got a lifeboat. I'll keep mine. I don't see any iceberg. I'll keep mine.
Wow, I love that song. So we are now going to jump from the United States over to Nepal, India, I believe, and Kenya for a little snippet from my global travels of 2015-16. And as many of you know, I went out on a mission. I was looking to connect with women, children, and grassroots human rights social justice organizations to begin to try to understand how power manifested in those communities, because I was really frustrated with the lack of visible resistance I still felt in our own country, especially among women. And I saw women in other countries just doing very brave things. The women in Liberia that stopped a civil war, and we'll do another segment another day with them. But anyway, I went out and met with women all over the world, and I learned a lot. It was wonderful, and we sang together, and I gave them what I had, and they gave me back ever so much more. So today I'm going to show you and share with you some women I met who were really working with the power over their own lives, the power to not stay in the conditions that they were born into. And I'll tell you a little bit more about it. So there are three little segments. This whole piece is about women. And the first segment is some singing I did with young, mostly women from villages along the Indian border. They were actually in Nepal, excuse me, I misspoke. They were in Nepal, Kathmandu. And they were at risk of being trafficked, partly because of poverty, partly being close to the Indian border, which is very porous, and there's a lot of trafficking and smuggling that goes back and forth. So these young social workers, these delightful young people in Kathmandu, had a vision of creating a project where these women would come to Kathmandu, they would house them, and they would offer training in tailoring, in sewing skills, and help them start their own sewing businesses. And then if it worked out well in Kathmandu, taking it back to their village. Beautiful, beautiful project. And I got to sing with them. The second segment is from Life Bloom in Kenya, near Nairobi. And I've talked to you a lot about Life Bloom, women who were involved in sex work mostly, which is where poverty drives so many women around the world, and also domestic abuse, and were being brought by other women out of the brothels, out of the bars and streets, and into circles of support, and into learning skills, learning a way to make a living. And we sang, and we sang. Oh, so wonderful. The third segment is very brief, but it was so wonderful. This is back in Nepal. And this was a project where women were identified in their villages as leaders or potential leaders. And this women-run organization, nonprofit, brought them to Kathmandu for trainings in leadership so that they could be more effective in their villages. And you may know that it is now known worldwide that when you train women and when you educate women in anywhere, but in a village in the midst of poverty, that not only do their lives improve, but the whole quality of life of the village improves. There is statistically less alcoholism, less domestic violence. Everyone's economic life improves because the women are empowered. So I offer you this with so much delight and just wanting to share what these women gave to me and how they embraced me and we embraced each other. So here we go.
gonna bloom in a solid ground. This is my life. This is my precious seed. I'm gonna bloom. You just wait and see. I'm gonna bloom, bloom, bloom. You just wait and see. I'm gonna bloom, bloom, bloom. You just wait and see.
Oh, and there's two things I want to tell you about that last scene. One is that the peach blouse, drapey blouse I was wearing was made by the women in the first segment who were learning their tailoring skills. And the second is that the woman who starts the singing and is the main voice, it turns out, asked afterwards, she was completely improvising that song. I said, "Oh, is that a traditional song?" I said, "No, I just made it up." So she is right in that folk tradition of songs for the moment. So great memories. Okay, now we are moving into our last segment. And this one just came to me a few minutes ago to share, and it's so perfect. I wrote this song when I was with the women of Life Bloom in Naivasha, Kenya. And while I was with them, they had known about me for a long time through a series of amazing coincidences. One of my CDs arrived in their community with all the music I sang with my women's song circles for so many years. And easy to sing sing-alongs. So it turns out they were singing these songs. And I knew the director. I had met her at a woman's song here in the US that a US friend brought her to. And so we arranged for me to come visit. And I was an honored guest. And it is pretty amazing and humbling to be a white Westerner in a land that is not primarily white, not primarily Western. And the degree of respect that was both beautiful as an elder. I felt safe. I felt that elders had a place in that society, but it was also very uncomfortable to be treated like such a dignitary, because I come from the United States and because these are cultures that honor guests. They say in India, the guest is God. So people gave me their beds, they gave me their food, they gave me the clothes off their backs sometimes. So here I am with these wonderful women. We're having all kinds of connections in Kenya. But I had this feeling of a little bit of distance because probably of ways I was playing the role of the outside, I don't know what, visiting feminist or something. And partly because they had me in that role. And I felt very disappointed in myself and in the whole situation because it's like, this is not what I came for. I want to connect woman to woman. And I wasn't feeling it. And so one sleepless night, I realized what was missing was that I knew a lot about them. I knew their histories in a general way as sex workers. I knew the stories of poverty and violence that had created the lives they were now living. But all they knew of me was a fairly superficial presentational person. And I thought, I got to get real with these women. So in that scene with them, where we're singing Life Bloom, in that room, unforgettable room, I remember it well, I sat with them later on in that day. And I said, I know a lot about you, but I don't think you know my story, and I want to tell you. And so I told them parts of my story that I don't tell in public very much at all, of a dear family member who died of drug addiction. These women know about drugs. That's what got them through their sex work days largely. I told them about a baby that I had had who died. They know about losing children. And I told them about my own recovery from addiction. And there we were, suddenly sisters. There we were. So the last song we're going to share is a song I wrote with and for them while I was there. And this is a little home video I made when I was back a year later. And there's a surprise guest at the end you're going to love. It's a young woman named Nichelle Leister, who was working for me at the time and had a lovely voice and just a lovely young person. And so you'll get to hear her join me on this song. So thank you for coming tonight, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And I'll see you September 17th at 6 o'clock for Twilight and Lullabies. Be well. Take good care. Sister, I need you. Sister, I need you by my side. I need your shoulder when I cry. I need your laughter and your song. Sister, you help me to be strong. And I am here for you. Yes, I am. I'll help you make it through the best I can. We'll make a safe place for 2 or 3 or more. 'Cause that's what sisters are for. Sister, you walk a rugged road. I see you bending beneath your load. Your head bowed down to hide your face. But sister, your life is no disgrace. And I am here for you. Yes, I am. I'll help you make it through the best I can. We'll make a safe place for 2 or 3 or more. 'Cause that's what sisters are for. That's what sisters are for. Sister, I've got my troubles too. I get weary and I stumble just like you. I've lost my way and I've lost my pride. And sister, I need you by my side. Are you here for me too?
Yes, I am.
Will you help me make it through
The best I can.
We'll make a safe place for 2 or 3 or more. 'Cause that's what sisters are for. That's what